4 months. I was starting to get worried and concerned. I'm like, what is going on? Who are these people that I use to close my mortgage and it has not shown up on my credit report? So accounts can take some time to hit your credit report. And if you're in there looking after 1 month or after you just figured out that somebody did, might have tried to get some credit in your name and you feel that sigh of relief because you don't see a new account on there, you could be wrong. So make sure you go to the inquiries first and you check them out because it does take some time for them accounts to get on there. Next thing that you want to do now, you've got the 5 pillars of credit. You've already read it. And if you haven't, go get the 5 pillars of credit, Amazon, $3, Amazon.com. Just put in 5 pillars of credit. It'll pop up and you can download it and start reading it in like 5 minutes. You can start reading it. So go get it. If you want to, pause the show right now. Pause the show. Go to Amazon.com and get it. Or wait till right after the show and go to Amazon and get 5 pillars of credit. So since you've already read that then, and you know what these 5 pillars are and how they impact your credit and the importance of each one, now go through each of your accounts. Go to each one of your accounts and evaluate where it fits in your credit score calculation. So of those 5 pillars, you know that payment history is 35%, X, Y, and Z, and the rest of them, right? So go and see how your accounts fit within that. So you know if you've got 5 accounts on your credit report and you've got some missed payments here and there, you know what's going on with them. So place that in your mind or make some notes. This is about my payment history, and here are the accounts that I have issues with when it comes to payment history because we're going to deal with that as well. So you make sure that you do that. Now I'm going to tell you this next portion is to take notes. Take notes now on all your negative items. We already looked and patted you on the back for the positive stuff, right? So now you want to take notes on your negative items, whatever they are, whatever it is. So like I just mentioned, if it happened to be a late payment, you want to jot down the account name. You can see in your credit report, you can see the month and the year that you had that late payment. So you're going ahead, you want to write that down too. Write them all down for each one of these negative accounts. And then we're going to move on to the next step. But that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you write down whatever those negatives are. So if you have an account that's a charge-off, so not just late payments, but if you have an account that's a charge-off, then you want to write that down. So out of your accounts, go ahead, look at them all and see where you fit within there and jot it down because you're going to need that information later. All right, so look. We are already past the halfway point of the show since it's supposed to be a 30-minute show. I don't know when the last time I stopped the show actually at 30 minutes. I'm going to jump and do the question of the day right quick and a couple more shout-outs, and then we'll finish out where you should start when it comes to your credit report. All right, so let me do these shout-outs right quick. Ruben Flores. Ruben celebrated his birthday a couple weeks. I think I was going to give him a shout-out on the last show. So happy birthday, happy belated birthday to you, Ruben Flores. Wanda Bugs, she celebrated her birthday. Yes, Wanda Bugs celebrated her birthday. Happy birthday to you. Alan Horton, Alan Horton celebrated a birthday as well, also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. He celebrated a birthday. Last couple, Amanda Swift. She celebrated a birthday yesterday, I believe. So I want to say happy birthday to the beautiful Amanda Swift. And then I got to give this guy a shout out. His name is Dennis Johnson, goes by DJ. This was my college roommate. Probably one of the first guys I met when I stepped on the campus of Indiana University. We lived on the same floor when we were freshmen and part of our sophomore year. And then we moved into a house together with a couple of other guys. So Dennis Johnson, also one of my frat brothers. I want to say happy birthday to you, my brother. May you have many, many more. All right, so our question today comes from Matt. Matt is from Illinois, and he emailed me. So you can email me too, 800@creditscoreman.com. That's 800@creditscoreman.com. Do like Matt did. Matt said, I'm Matt, and I'm from, he even told me his city in Illinois. So you do like that when you send me an email and then ask your question. Matt and I went back and forth a couple of times. I answered this question, I believe, hopefully thoroughly for him. So I'm going to answer that question today. So Matt said, how long does it take for you to see a credit score start to rise once you start using a secured credit card? So I thought that was a great question. So let me just be clear. He wants to know, how long do you see those benefits of getting a secured credit card when it comes to your credit score? And so here's what I told him. So if you use the card correctly, you should see a rise in your credit score about 2.5 to 4 months. You'll start to see that rise in your credit score. Now, Experian, if you talk to them, they'll say it could take 4 to 6 months for you to really start seeing it impact your credit score on a positive basis. Now, that's not my experience. I do this often. And maybe that would be the case if you just got a card and, really didn't use it too much, or you got it and you just used it like a quote unquote normal person would use it, go and, charge a whole bunch on it or whatever it is. Then maybe it will take that long for it to hit your report and for Experian to go ahead and start giving you quote unquote credit for it and whatnot. But I said to Matt, when I said to him, if you use it correctly. So here's what it correctly means. Charging less than 30% on the card. So if you get a secure card is where you pay a company money that becomes your limit. So let's say for this example, it's $500. You give XYZ credit card company $500. That's your limit. And I'm saying don't use more than 30% of that. That's $150. Don't use more than $150 on the card. So use it correctly, right? So you're not going to do more than 30% of whatever the limit is on the card. Secondly, you want to use something on the card, so less than $150. I suggest if you're doing it for the purposes or the main purposes of your credit score going up, that you just use it to buy a tank of gas, that you use it, go out to dinner somewhere, a family type restaurant. I'm not talking about going somewhere upper echelon where you're going to spend $250 on this particular card. I'm talking about going to a family type restaurant where you don't have to spend so much money. So go in, do that, use it sparingly, right? You're going to keep it under $150. And then the third thing I was telling him to do is to, let's for an example, you did do the tank of gas. It cost you $30 to fill up your tank, right? Your minimum monthly payment when the statement comes is probably going to be either $10 or $15. Maybe it'll be $20. That'll be your minimum payment. A lot of people would just say, I'm just go ahead and pay the whole thing off. It's only $30. Some people really want to pay the minimum, like all the time. They want to pay the minimum, and you'll never get rid of your credit card debt paying just the minimum, just to let you know. Now, if it's $30, you can get rid of that relatively soon, right? But if the minimum payment comes and it says it's $10, then pay the $10. You did incur a little bit of interest, but you only spent $30, so you're not getting a whole bunch of interest. I don't care if the interest rate is 27.99. It's not a whole bunch of interest off of $30. So you're going to pay that minimum of $10. Then the next month, when it comes again, your statement comes again, and you're paying it on time, right? The next month, go ahead and pay the whole thing off. This way, what happens is the credit bureau gets to see, yep, this person has a brand new card. They have actually used the card. They used it responsibly. They didn't go charge it up to the max, right? They used it responsibly, and now they've made a couple of payments on the card. So they can see that. You don't have to use the card again for another 4, 5, 6, 7 months if you don't want to. But it's there for you, and you can repeat this every 3 or 4 or 5 months. You can go ahead and do the same thing if you get the card for your credit restoration. Now, if you're getting a card to get a card because you need one, you might need to use some credit one day somewhere, and you've got this $500 limit, you should still try to keep it under 30%. You should try to do that with each and every one of your cards. So the people that don't have this issue, they don't need a secure card. They've got a bunch of credit cards, regular credit cards, if you will. They've got them already. When they give you an increase or you get a brand new card and you say, hey, they gave me $1,000 limit, don't think you can just go out and spend $900 on it and it's all good. It's all good because you stayed up under your limit. However, your credit score will and can take a hit if you're going to go over that 30% threshold. So you get a card, change your mindset, change your thinking. It's $1,000 limit that they gave you, then that means you got $300. You've got $300 to spend on this particular card. So Matt from Illinois. Thank you so very much for contacting me. I appreciate it. And I didn't even let you know I was going to use your question, but I will send you an email to let you know that your question was on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. So, Matt, you are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. All right, so let's jump back to these things like where do I start when it comes to trying to rebuild and start my credit score comeback. So we talked about taking notes and all your negative items and jotting them down and all of those things. So now that you have this info, I want you to compose a letter. You're going to compose a letter to your creditors, right? I want you to make it general enough that all you have to do is really change the information at the top. You can change it from one company to the other company without doing too much, and you'll be able to put in the different account numbers so they can identify you, right? So you're going to make it general as possible so you don't have to write several different letters if you have late payments on several different accounts. You're going to write this letter. Now, in this letter, you are politely asking the company to remove the late payment from your credit report, while explaining at the same time you're explaining why you were late in the first place. So whatever that issue is, even if you're just making up something, if it was a natural disaster, you had a death in the family, you lost your job, medical issues, whatever it is, you're going to make that explanation. Now, I want you to make it brief, right? I want you to make it brief. Now, you can write it as long or as short as you like. I prefer for them to be brief. I just think that a person sitting in front of a computer or somebody that's opening up mail all day and reading letters from people to try to figure out what they're going to do with their accounts, that they may not be into reading very long letters. So make it brief as possible. This letter is called a goodwill letter, and you're asking for some goodwill on their part, on the company's part, to help you out. You're asking them to remove the late payment from your credit history. Getting that removed from your credit history is excellent. It is absolutely excellent. So I'm gonna tell you to keep your letters to 10 sentences or less. Or like I said, you can write them as long as you want. I've seen them work both ways. I've seen them work for sure both ways if they got really long letters or short letters, but make sure you send it to them. And you're asking them to remove those late payments from your credit report. What does this do for you? If you get late payments removed from your credit report, your score should absolutely go up. Why do I say that? Because late payments, one late payment of 30 days or more can cost you anywhere from 30 to 100 points on your credit score. So if you get those bad boys removed, you'll see your credit going up. Now, you're going to do that plus a bunch of other positive things, right, for your credit, and your credit score is going to start to soar for you. So that was one of the other tips for you. Another thing that you can do, number 7, really, if you're keeping count, figure out your credit utilization. Now, you've got to know by now what your credit utilization is, or at least what I mean by it, just by listening to the show. If you don't know what it is, I'm going to tell you again. Go get 5 Pillars of Credit. Credit utilization is the second of the 5 Pillars of Credit that I list in the ebook. Go get that book on Amazon so you can figure out what it is. And some of these places, like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame and all those places, they will tell you what your credit utilization is. You want that utilization at 30% or less, like I just mentioned before. So go ahead and figure out what your credit utilization is. Now, since you've done that, the next thing you want to do, number 8, you got to devise a plan. You've got to get a plan. So if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going. Like if you have no idea where you're going, as of now, people pull out their phone and GPS it or whatever. If you're old school, you go to MapQuest, you print it out or whatever it is you do to figure out where you're going, to plot the best course for you. I know if you pull out your phone, it might give you a couple different routes. One of them says it's an hour away. The other one says it's an hour and 10 minutes away. So you pick the one that you want to get you in the right direction. Same thing here. You need a plan. So now your credit utilization, get a plan. If you're over the 30%, you want to create a plan. Whether you're going to use the snowball method of trying to pay down your debt, or whether you're going to use the avalanche method of trying to pay down your debt, you need a plan. To get a plan and stick to your plan. If you don't know what either one of those are, you can easily Google them, or You can go back through the 800 Credit Score Man shows. I did a whole show about Snowball and Avalanche, how they work, and what you should do, and even my opinion and what I've done in the past when it comes to those methods to get rid of my credit card debt. So you want to do that. All right. Now let me tell you this. I'm talking about, reducing your debt. Oftentimes when I do this and I talk about credit utilization, somebody hits me up